All right, and welcome back to First Team Fantasy. Getting into the next morning game, we had the Falcons going to Tennessee, and it was a really good game. The Titans ended up winning 28-23. It was pretty back and forth for a lot of this one. Atlanta did not cover the 2.5-point spread, and the over was crushed. Like Desmond Ridder, who went out in this game with a concussion. Before that, he was 8 for 12, 71 yards, 3 rushing attempts, 26 yards and a fumble, 3.4 fantasy points. We saw him replaced by Taylor Heineke, which a lot of us have been hoping for a lot of this year. He was 12 for 21, 175 yards, a touchdown, 2 rushing attempts for 14 yards, 12.4 fantasy points. Like I said, Desmond Ridder left this game with a concussion. He did not just get benched due to performance, per Arthur Smith. So we'll see if he ends up in, concussion protocol throughout this week and it's Taylor Heineke going into the next week. I think that would be better for the pass catchers. But something also to note, Drake London left this game after 37 offensive snaps with a groin injury. Whether or not he will be playing this next week, I don't know, but it's something to monitor. Before he went out, he caught 5 of 7 passes for 55 yards, 10.5 points, another solid week from him. But that was just another thing that was important to note in this game. Bijan Robinson was healthy this week, took back over the backfield, 74%, 50 snaps, 11 attempts, 62 yards, and his first rushing touchdown of the year. He caught none of his 5 targets.
At least he got 5 targets, though,
Yes, that is the fortunate thing. But 12.2 fantasy points. Not the greatest week, but again, Bijan, every week he's actually played football, he's given you at least double-digit points, so that's good. Algier, 8 attempts, 31 yards, 3.1 points. That's what we like to see. Don't give him the ball. Cordero Patterson, 2 attempts, 7 yards, whatever. Kyle Pitts only played 60% of the snaps, got 41. Jonnu Smith, 71% of the snaps. And like I said, I'm just at the point where I don't really... They're just splitting too much, and it's irritating. If they were one person, it'd be amazing. But, yeah, Jonnu caught 1 pass for 13 yards on 1 target, and Kyle Pitts caught 3 passes on 5 targets for 35 yards. So, 6.5 out of Pitts, 1.3 out of Jonnu.
I don't like either of them.
Ugly. No, that's what I mean. It's if they were one person, it'd be great, but they're not. Yeah. And they're splitting snaps, so it's yeah. But I already mentioned Drake London. Van Jefferson played 71% of the snaps, is pretty much the wide receiver 2 by role in this offense. Caught 3 of his 5 targets for 24 yards. Not a guy I'm really looking to at all. The interesting one in this game for the Falcons was Kadero Hodge. Played 43% of the snaps, caught 3 passes for 75 yards, 10.5 points, tied Drake London. The Falcons, despite scoring 23 points this week, it was fairly ugly from a fantasy standpoint. Just looking at this is yikes. But onto the Titans side of the ball, or unless you had anything to add to the Falcons, which...
Just that Kyle Pitts has only broken double digits twice this week, and it seems like Jonnu has kind of fizzled out. And lastly, did you see Bijan's picture on Sleeper?
The mustard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bijan Mustardson.
Yeah, I think that might be his brand.
I like it. All right, no,
he has an actual mustard brand. It's pretty interesting.
I did not know that. I'll have to look at that after this.
Yeah.
That's all I had.
Anyways, on to the Titans. Yes. Yeah. We heard coming into this that it would pretty much be 2 quarterbacks playing, and that was not really the case. Malik Willis played 3% of the snaps, had 2 rushing attempts for 4 yards, and Will Levis, the guy they drafted, they finally decided to actually use. And for, fantasy purposes, for the purpose of the Titans, he performed.
Yeah.
19 for 29, 238 yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 rushing attempts for 11 yards, 26.6 points. And I want to allude to the fact 3 of these touchdowns were purely DeAndre Hopkins. Now, he got him the ball, but one of them, the cornerback stopped on the play because he thought it was offensive pass interference, and he was complaining to the ref. D-Hop has 10 yards of separation, takes it for a touchdown. Another one, D-Hop has like 5 yards of separation, takes it for a touchdown. Another one's a slant. He threw behind D-Hop, catches it, breaks the tackle, goes for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Now, the fourth one that went to Akina Westbrook, that was a beautiful throw. That was great. If we see more throws like that, like he's capable. But we've also seen, Tyson Bagent didn't look too bad against the Raiders. He didn't do this, but we've just seen big games out of people. Like Taylor Heineke's given us big games. Cooper Rush has given us big games. I just think it's fair to say that we need to see a couple more weeks of this before it's like I'm looking at Will Levis as, some kind of streaming option. But even before I go moving D-Hop up my ranks, before I go making Nick Akina Westbrook viable for fantasy, I want to see a little bit more of this.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that it's not just purely, this was just a big D-Hop game, because we saw what D-Hop did, and he's older now. I'm just saying he's not going to do this every game. We've seen games where he's gotten locked up, like in the Ravens game.
Yeah.
I mean, Will Levis could have been playing in that game and it wouldn't have mattered. But he looks better than Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, yeah.
But that's
not saying
for what
much.
it's worth. Yeah. So I'm just saying, I'm just giving it a couple weeks. I mean, I think D-Hop, that's kind of the thing. He caught 4 passes and 3 of them were touchdowns. So that's why it's like, I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, D-Hop. It's like, okay, let's slow the roll a little bit and watch the film and see what he did on that before you go getting excited. I mean, if anything, I'd look to sell D-Hop super high off of this week.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I'd agree with that.
4 catches on 6 targets for 128 yards and 3 touchdowns. That is a sell high week if there ever was one. And you can throw in the fact when you're trying to make the deal that he's already had his bye, so you'll have him for the rest of the year. But I just don't see a whole bunch of this. Whether or not it happens, I don't know. Derrick Henry, another solid week. 22 attempts, 101 yards, 4 catches, 21 yards, 16.2 points. Tyjae Spears had limited involvement, 3 attempts, 27 yards. I had the same amount of targets as Derrick Henry, caught 3 of them, though, for 9 yards, 6.6 points. The Titans have told Henry they don't plan on moving on from him. The trade deadline is tomorrow. So whatever's going to happen, we will see within like the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
So definitely just keep your eyes peeled. Like I said, with all these players, if they do get traded, most of the time their bye weeks change, and that could change your whole entire plan for, what you had for the rest of the year. I'm going to use this guy for this guy's replacement. So just pay attention to that. But yeah, that's as much as the running backs did. We talked about D-Hop, Chigakonkwo, 4 catches on 6 targets, 23 yards, 1 rushing attempt for 4 yards, 6.7 fantasy points. Still not really looking at him. Akina Westbrook, like I said, okay, he had the touchdown, but it was on 2 targets. He had 33 yards on a touchdown, 10.3, played 50% of the snaps. Treylon Burks was out there for 53. Didn't get a target. So, yeah. I don't know what to do with these 2 teams right now. I mean, if Drake London is healthy, You're playing him every week. He's the number one target on that team, which is obvious at this point. So he's worth throwing out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously Bijan, and that's it for the Falcons. The Titans, like I said, we have to watch and see for at least a couple more weeks whether or not Will Levis is real. If you want to go ahead and like pick him up just in case you have a late bye week quarterback, sure. I mean, if he ends up being good, then you have him. If
I
you
wouldn't
want to
use
go out,
Fab, or like if you don't
no,
play
no, no, no.
Fab in
Wait
your
till the
waiver,
waivers run.
yeah, wait till
Just
the
wait till the
waivers
waivers
clear.
run, and you could just pick him up as a free agent. Yeah, that's a good point. Do not don't use
Don't
your
waste your waiver spot.
status on
No,
Will Levis,
no, no, no,
please.
no, no, no.
Just go in after and pick him up. And yeah, if someone else wants to use their waiver claim
Let
on
him.
him, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Derrick Henry, you're starting, but just pay attention, see if he gets traded. Tyjae Spears, if Derrick Henry does get traded, will automatically be not an RB1 every week, but he will be the RB1 on the Titans and will probably be like RB2 territory every week.
Yeah.
D-Hop, there was word he might get traded, but after that performance, we'll see if he ends up staying and, thinks he has a thing going there with Levis. And then Treylon and Keno Westbrook, no. Yeah. That's all I got for this one.
No, and it's just that, yeah, watch the trades. Maybe the Titans, after they saw how Levis played, if they are confident in Levis, it's just hard to imagine them stripping him of what weapons he does have with D-Hop and Derrick Henry. But again, at least the trade deadline is going through Tuesday, so it'll go through in time for you to be able to put your claims in the waiver wire for Wednesday, so you won't get burned in that aspect. But yeah, like Schiff said, if Derrick Henry gets traded to a team like the Ravens, his bye week will change to 13, so he would have another bye coming up on the season.
Yeah. And I do think the Titans winning might change a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because that puts them at 3-4. You have teams like the Steelers, Bengals, and Browns are all 4-3, so they're only game out, of that wild card spot.
Mm-hmm.
And they have, they're playing the Steelers this upcoming week. They win, they're 4-4, they're right back. So it might change a whole lot with them winning this game. It kind of puts them right back in the hunt.
Yeah.
So that might not see any of these players move from the Titans.
Yeah. I'm good to go.
And that'll be it for this one, guys. Got a lot more morning games coming up, so stay tuned, and we will see you in the next one.
Sir.